what the best can understand, what the best can do is, do you have the internal, whether that's confidence, grit, fortitude, toughness, to control the internal? What I say to all my clients is that when you can control the internal, it doesn't matter what the external is. You just place and plop them into whatever external environment that is. So, in a long-winded answer, it's control the internal, not get attracted or enticed by the external.
How can they manage those nerves and that pressure?
Yes. So I'll start with there's two things I always say is that you can always control your focus. You control your self-talk. Is that we'll start with number one, your focus. Is that when you try to control your focus, we need to control what are you focusing on? Is it the past, the mistakes, who's in the stands, who's watching, where the clipboard? Is it the future of are we going to win? Are they offer me all these things? But the most important is we can stay in the present. So controlling the focus better is number one. That goes with the internal dialogue. Is what is that story? What is that narrative that you're telling yourself, right? And typically the narrative, especially for teenagers, in these very nerve, heightened emotional states, as the self-talk goes into, I always say, I think it was a John Gordon, are you listening to yourself or are you talking to yourself? Most of them are listening to themselves. So what do they think of me? And I get a missed shot.
Dreaming of playing college basketball? The recruiting process can be overwhelming, but with Net Results Recruiting, you're not alone. My name is Steve Schafer. I'm the founder and president of Net Results Recruiting, a full-service basketball recruiting solution based in Arizona. I spent 21 years coaching college basketball at 3 different levels, decided to get out of coaching because I really wanted to start something that's truly going to help players, families navigate the college basketball recruiting process. There's a lot of companies out there, but I don't know that they all do the things that Net Results Recruiting provides. Our goal is to find options for players that are the right fit at the right level so players can have a great experience playing college basketball. College recruiting is competitive. If you're not getting the exposure you need, you could be missing out on opportunities. Coaches can't recruit you if they don't know who you are. At Net Results Recruiting, we take the guesswork out of the process by providing a complete recruiting solution, including a personalized recruiting profile that has the right information that college coaches want to see, an evaluation of your game to help us assess what levels you can play at, and a tool to help you improve your game, a player priority list that allows your recruiting expert to understand what is important to you when considering potential college options, promotion to college coaches, and a huge network of college coaching contacts to maximize your exposure. And finally, expert guidance and advice throughout your recruitment journey. Don't leave your future to chance. Get started today with Net Results Recruiting and take control of your basketball journey. Your dream, your future, let's make it happen together.
You talked about the path. How do you set a path or your goals in the off season and track it without burnout or, getting, setting yourself up too lofty a goal or something where you can't obtain it and you get burnout from it that way?
Yeah, I think, I think burnout happens when there's no joy, there's no passion, there's no why behind it, right? I love what I do. And if it wasn't for my family, I could literally be on calls and work 12 to 16 hours a day because I love it. I don't know if that would ever create burnout, but it also goes back to the critical versus curious mind. Are you trying to chase something that's critical, be the best? Or you're just being your best and being curious about things. Now, going back to the initial questions, let's make this applicable for a listener. I have no problem with us shooting for a high goal and not achieving it. But again, I guarantee you're going to strive harder. You're going to push yourself, challenge yourself, be more disciplined, be more intentional. Even if you don't hit that goal. I've missed goals. I set annual goals and I've missed it. But I'm also like, you know what? Damn, I worked pretty hard. And again, being more curious, giving myself some forgiveness and positivity compared to beating myself up. Now going back to the application of it is, are you a slave to your schedule? There's one of the best psychologists, performance coaches in the world always just says, show me your schedule and I'll show you your future. Most individuals I work with, hey, show me your schedule. What do you mean? No, show me your schedule. Well, my schedule's up here. Well, I already know they're not going to be super successful, right? The most elite individuals I work with, literally, they're a slave to their schedule. That's what they do, is they just follow the next breadcrumb, because when you can, whether you take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, start of the day, end of the day, every Sunday, whatever that is, now I can see you're prioritizing what's truly important to you. Again, you're saying no to the things that aren't. And it's hard sometimes. But guess what? I always say this is, so is being successful. If you want to be successful, you're going to have to understand that life is hard, right? But I'm okay with that. And again, if you're not okay with that, then you're not on the same, we can't, we're not going to mesh very well.
I tell our players that I work with net results, mental toughness and confidence are key to having success. You have to have those things, in my opinion, to be successful whatever you do. What role can the offseason play as far as basketball players in developing mental toughness and confidence?
What role can it play? Here's the thing. You can be confident all you want and be like, I'm going to go to the next open gym and I'm going to play hard and I'm going to hoop and I'm going to do this and that. But I don't think that that goes back to that quote I love is, live easy now and live hard later, or live hard now and live easy later. Most individuals are going to want to live easy now. It's the summer. I can sleep in till 9 a.m. I got all day. It's this live easy now, but then guess what? Winter's coming. Live easy now and live hard later. Guess what? I guarantee there's individuals that are not going to sleep in, that are not just going to eat whatever they want, that are not going to have an inconsistent sleep schedule, prioritize their friends or their boyfriend or girlfriend over what they want to do. When you live easy now, there's going to be a hard later. But if you live hard now, aka the mental toughness we're talking about, it's hard. It's hard to wake up early. I get it. It's hard to eat right. I get it. It's hard to listen to podcasts over music. I get it. It's hard to just work on your daily skill development plan and not just go to the open gym across the court. I get it. But when you live hard now, the easy will come because you've put in the work 6 months ago. And so again, I don't feel bad for those that live easy now. I actually make them really uncomfortable, and I'm okay with that.
You were talking about setting goals and being a slave to your schedule. How do you stay motivated with that? One thing that I've taken from is having those goals in a place where you see them every day, whether it's your mirror, like you can't just put them in a drawer, put them in a book and not look at them. But how can you stay motivated with those? What are some tips or tricks with that?
Yeah, great question. First of all, I don't like the word motivation. That's just my own opinion. I think motivation's an emotion. It comes and goes, right? Motivation is fleeting. I can't, again, let's wake up at 5 a.m. every day. By Thursday, are you going to be motivated at 5 a.m.? Probably not. I love the word disciplined, right? It's not motivation, it's discipline. It's the discipline to schedule every day. It's the discipline to continue to wake up. It's the discipline to eat the oatmeal over the donut. It's the discipline to write down your affirmations every day. It's the discipline, aka consistency, of those small, minor things. And I was just talking to, I have a rock climber athlete. I was just talking to her today on our call. And I said, even when I feel off, just haven't been right with whether that's my wife, my clients, my kids, whatever, it's because typically one of the disciplines, the consistency in my life, I've just kind of fizzled away. I've gotten away from it, right? And so it's not about motivation. I mean, yes, of course we can write, we can put sticky notes up, we can make reminders on our phone, but it's the intentionality behind all that, right? Just like, Schafer's picture in the background, these books, these trophies, this stuff in the background, that's all cool for like a week. And then it's like, we forget about it. It fizzles away, but it's the weight behind it all. So it's, again, motivation, nah. But if you can show me someone with disciplined, consistent lifestyle, I guarantee they'll be successful.
And you talked about this earlier on, about being your best, not trying to be the best. But what do you recommend for players who struggle with comparing themselves to others? Let's use social media, for example. How do you get kids to, and parents more so than maybe the kids, how do you get them from playing the comparison game and getting them to be more disciplined and focused on running their own race? Like, what are some things you tell those parents too?
No, that's a really tough question. I think we all struggle with comparison. We all struggle with the opinions, the perception of others. I was literally just talking to a professional athlete just last week, and he was talking about this. And I said, how do we, because we're all going to compare. And yes, we can turn off social media, we can set limits, we can do all that stuff. What I told him, I said, how do you view and interpret comparison? Because again, I think many of us interpret comparison as, well, why are they getting it and I'm not? Again, the critical mind of they're doing this and why aren't they looking at me? And but when you're curious about this comparison side is maybe they're doing something different. Maybe they're in a better situation. Maybe they have more resources. But I've been really trying to humble my own self. This is therapy for myself talking right now, is that I've been really trying to shift my perspective to viewing comparison more of, am I trying to beat myself up, or am I trying to view myself as the curious mind, motivation to, I can get better. I need to do something differently to get to their position, but more of this, again, I'm sorry to use the word motivation, but the kickstart, where I am to where I need to be. I don't know if I answered that question fully though.
No, that was good. That was great. That made sense. Yeah.
So what are some simple, doesn't mean easy, what are some simple daily habits that players can build upon to build that discipline of showing up and doing that, not being motivated, but having that discipline?
Great question. I call this the MITs, the most important tasks. And it's almost like if this box was my sticky note, okay, is we're going to draw a line down the middle, and one side's going to be basketball or sport related, one side's going to be personal related. And all I want is, I just want 2 to 3 bullet points of what are those 1% things that you need to do every single day. And I'm not talking like this for me, it's like, it's not the things that like you already are going to do. I'm already going to work out every day. You don't need to tell me that. I'm already going to read for 30 minutes every day or listen to podcasts. You don't need to tell me that stuff. So like maybe it's watch film 10 minutes every day, stretch 10 minutes every day, foam roll, listen to 1 podcast a day, make my bed, eat breakfast, 8 hours of sleep. One guy that I have is just like eat every 3 hours to maintain or grow muscle mass, have 2 protein shakes. All these little 1% things can lead to big things. I always say you don't need to do a lot, a little. You need to do a little, a lot, especially in this separation summer season. It's not about doing all 18 different things just 1 or 2 times and fizzles away. It's about doing a little, a lot, right? And if you can do these 1% things over and 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 over again. Actually, here's another quote that I love to say. 80% of what you do will be the same as your competition. It's the 20% that will make 100% of the difference. And this is the 20%. The MITs, when you have that sticky note, now we're doing the 20% that's going to make 100% of the difference. And I can't say what that's going to be for each individual athlete, but they have to, again, some of them might need big things. Make 200 shots a day. Weekend ball handling for 15 minutes. Whatever that is, they just have to understand, make that MIT list.
Great. Jeff, how do the elites, how do they approach failure and setbacks differently than others? What do they do differently?
Ooh, that's a really good question. What do they do different than others with failure? Failure is feedback. I'm gonna say that again. And everyone listening, digest that. Pause that if you need to. Failure is feedback. Most of you have too much of an ego in your way, because then you're just like, oh, well, I didn't get the stats. What does mom and dad get to think? Now I just lost all this recruiting. Coach isn't going to start me. Poor we, mow me, victim's mentality. Failure is feedback. If something doesn't go your way, there's a reason why. And again, critical mind or curious mind. Now, with failure as feedback, what the elite do, I would also say this. I think this is very important to understand that I'm looking at 4 individual my pros right here on the other wall of mine with 2 Major League Baseball players, NBA player, and one of the top 50 golfers in the world. They don't allow failure to affect their confidence. I think that's so critical, is that most of the individuals I've ever worked with, probably the same with you guys, is that their confidence is directly tied to results and outcomes. The most elite individuals understand, I didn't get the results and outcomes, that's okay, but I'm not defined by that. I'm going to keep working hard. We keep focusing on controllables. I'm still have that same confidence, swagger, belief next time I step out on the court because I'm not attached to results and outcomes.
What advice do you have for players in this recruiting world who are feeling overwhelmed with it? I know we've already kind of talked about run your own race, don't compare, all those things. But what other tips when it comes to recruiting specifically, like you said, what is that kid doing that I'm not doing to get that exposure or whatever it is?
Yeah, here's the thing is, I'm sure you guys preach it every single day. The recruiting process is so hard nowadays. It's hard. And I'm not taking that away. And I honestly, Schafer and I have talked about this offline. I feel so, it's unfortunate for these sophomores, but especially the juniors and the seniors. It is what it is. But at the same time, that's life. This is the reality of the world we're living in right now. And so what I would say is be a pro. And what I mean by that is, who's your inner circle? Who's helping you? Like, I literally will tell my athletes, like, okay, who are the people that you know? It's almost like they're the center of the spider web. Your circle is the second ring of the spider web. We need to get to who can help you get to the third ring of the spider web. Right now, they're working, you might have a trainer but knows nobody, right? Telling you all the right stuff but can't help you with the recruiting process. Your mom and dad might be hyping you up on social media, but guess what? They can't get you to that third ring of the spider web. Guys like you, right? Maybe it's your club guys. Maybe it's your science teacher. I really don't care. But one, get out of your own way and ask individuals, because I guarantee you're not asking. But number 2 is like, people like us are the second circle, right? I always say you got to get the people who can help you, but that inner circle is so critical, especially now's day and age, because college coaches are just getting inundated with, the JUCO stuff, with the transfer portal, blah, 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 blah. We've all heard it. So I would always say, but then again, be a pro is reach out, follow up, continue to ask, what's the worst they're going to say? No. Okay.
Yeah. Jeff, how can parents and coaches, I think more parents, but if you can touch on coaches, that would be great. But how can parents and coaches support the mental side of a player's development without adding pressure?
I'm going to say this as nicely as possible. As nicely as possible, parents, shut up. Shut up. Your kid is 16, 17, 18 years old. He doesn't need another parent or coach from the sidelines. Now, here's the thing, parents. And I've said this to tens of thousands of parents in my mandatory parent workshop at the CP3 camps. Tens of thousands. Ask them more questions. You are not a dictator. You don't need to tell them what to do. It's kind of like being a husband and a wife. I think I know the right answers. And then all of a sudden my wife's like, hey, you should probably do it this way. And then all of a sudden my mind is blown because I actually have a reality. Parents, ask them what they want. Ask them what they need from you. Ask them how we can best support them. But that's the most important thing, parents, is that you're the supporter. You're a provider. You're giving them guidance and a guideline. But you're not a dictator. Okay, this isn't your life. This is their life. That's number 1. Second part of that question I would say is, how do we best help support them? Actually, I can't answer that because, again, everyone's different. One child or one of your children, I have 2 boys. One of my children might just need super support, be the best encourager, be the cheerleader from the sidelines. One might be, Dad, just shut up and say nothing. That might be the most helpful. But then another kid might be like, hey, just, give me a little nudge every once in a while. Give me that look, or clap in the stands, or whatever. But I can't answer that, because guess what? But it all comes back to parents. You've never asked them. You just thought you knew the answer. But yeah, every time I think I know the answer, my wife gets mad at me. So I don't think I know anything.
No, that's great advice. That's great advice.
I didn't know this turned into a marriage counseling show. I thought it was about hoops, but you talked about MITs already, Jeff. What is one MIT that every high school player should have to improve their mental game?
Set an alarm clock and wake up. Because I guarantee, if you wake up and you set an alarm even for 8 a.m., and let's say you typically wake up without an alarm clock at 10 a.m., when you set an alarm, guess what? That means you're probably going to go to bed a little bit earlier, right? And then, okay, well, I need to get up at 8. That means at least I can go to bed at 11 or 12, midnight. Guess what? You're not going to do the things that idiots are doing past midnight. But when you wake up, now you have those extra 2 or 3 hours that most individuals that are just sleeping in will do. I don't know what that answer is going to be, but guess what? I wake up at least, at the latest, typically 5:03 every morning. Okay? And guess what? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to read. I'm going to stretch. I might meditate. I might jump in a cold plunge. I'm going to do something much more productive than what the normal average individual is doing. So I can't answer that question of what they're going to do, but if you set your alarm, I guarantee you're going to find something much more productive than just sleeping in and being the typical average individual.
This can be the hardest question we ask, Jeff. So, because I know you're an avid reader and an average podcast listener, but what is the best book or podcast or resource for athletes looking to build mental toughness that you can recommend?
Besides this show.
I would say
this
podcast. Sure.
Yeah, this podcast.
This podcast. Yeah. Typically, the first go-to book I always ask when individuals ask is Mind Gym. Older sports psychology book. That's always one of my go-to. John Gordon books are very good. They're for guys like me. They're big font. They're like 4 pages long per chapter.
They're great.
Like I'm not a very smart individual. I just work really hard. So John Gordon books, I would say. Jim Afremoe is a good friend of mine. His books, I just drew a blank, but Jim Afremoe with championship stuff, mentality stuff. Gotta have books all over the place. But and then for podcasts, I used to start with sports books and mental toughness. There's podcasts all over the place. You just got to find your niche, and I think that's the most important thing is if sports books are for you or leadership books are for Matt or psychology books are for me, it doesn't really matter as long as you're working on the mindset. Let's be honest. Most of us are like, I pray or, I take a deep breath every once in a while. Well, that's not really a practice. That's just more of what it pops into your mind, right? Make it a practice that is consistent and disciplined with it.
Okay, last one from me. If you give one piece of advice to a kid heading into a life period, what would it be?
Pick 3 words, and those 3 words are the only 3 words that need to go through your mind. Those 3 standards. Those 3 words just need to go through your mind over and 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 over again. And again, whether you start 5 for 5 or 0 for 5, whether your team's up 10 or down 10, whether it's the first half or the last half of the game, whether there's no coaches or whether there's 150 coaches, I don't care. But I guarantee if you have those 3 words to fall back on, again, we're not defaulting to emotions. We're defaulting to a set strategy. Why do coaches have a pre-practice plan? Why do the best trainers in the world have a plan for every player, client that they train? Is because they don't default to I should probably try this or do this. No, there's a strategy. There's a plan in place. 99.9% of athletes, especially in live periods, they don't walk in with a preset plan. Okay, when you set with a plan, again, those 3 words, we don't default to the emotions, we default to our standards. And the standards can get us back to how we need to show up no matter what.
Great advice. That's great advice. Well, Jeff, we appreciate you being on today. This was absolute gold for our kids, players that we work with, parents that we work with, and then just our general audience who have not yet signed up with us. I mean, this stuff is this. I love this stuff, and I've seen it firsthand work for players that I've coached, that you've helped. So can't thank you enough for being on and just sharing some of your nuggets of knowledge when it comes to mental performance and getting that edge mentally, during competition. So thank you very much.
I appreciate you guys. Hopefully I'll see you again 2-3 months again.
Yeah.
Jeff, before you go, if people want to find you, where can they find you at?
Everything is at Coach Jeff Becker, coachjeffbecker.com. I really try to just serve. I really try to pour into individuals, pour into parents, pour into athletes. I actually just had one of my now pro athletes. He was given like a commencement speech in the college level, and he was so nervous. He goes, "Thank goodness I post stuff on Mindset every single day." He goes, "I was so nervous. I'm about to speak to a few hundred like donors and stuff like that. I just started watching the reels to understand how to control the mindset." So that's the biggest thing, is just put them on Instagram or whatever. And typically I have something that you guys listen to.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Peace out.
Thank you.
Okay.
Basketball players, are you grinding in the gym but struggling to get noticed by college coaches? Your talent deserves the right exposure, and that's where Net Results Recruiting comes in. Whether you're in high school, junior college, or prep school, we help you connect with college programs, get you promoted to college coaches, and receive expert guidance throughout your recruitment journey. Don't leave your future to chance. Get exposure, get guidance, get results. Let our team find your team. Visit netresultsrecruiting.com today and take the next step towards your college basketball dream.